Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be listening to DSP hate on a game right before playing it for the first time. He did it to Starfield when it came out, and he's doing it again to MK1, so I wanted to highlight it this time. And for the first time, this is actually a clip that I pulled myself. So of course, shout out all the other clip channels, but also shout out me. And I want to apologize, this one is so long. Unfortunately, he had a lot to say, and then therefore I had a lot to say. Hopefully you guys don't mind too much, but I'm going to shut up now and we'll get into the video.
Mortal Kombat 1, alright? So here's the deal. Mortal Kombat 1 released yesterday. And everyone who played early or paid early to get it, or people who got free copies, yes, I know, it's ridiculous, but they got early copies yesterday.
I still can't believe it's the modern year and he's still getting upset about people getting early free copies. How long has it been this way and he's still upset about it? Especially when he got drugged through the mud for calling all those people shills back in the day when they got State of Decay too early. It was a whole fucking plot point in the DSP storyline. And to this day, he still can't help himself from talking about it.
Have started to play it. The consensus is as follows so far, okay? The story is good. People are enjoying the story. Although I'm seeing conflicting stories. Some people said the story is 8 hours long, and others are like, no, it's around 6. I don't get how you can have that conflict. It's the same story mode. You know what I mean? How do you get 2 completely different hours? Like, what were you doing for those 2 hours? I don't get it. Like, unless you really suck and you keep losing to the same fight over and over or something. But usually in Mortal Kombat, the story mode isn't that challenging. Maybe the final boss is, but that's about it. So I don't really know what would take so long, but anyway.
DSP not understanding that people play games at different speeds? I mean, maybe they played on different difficulties, DSP, which you should know about since when you started the fucking game, you started it on hard and then immediately had to turn it back down to normal because you couldn't play the game. You acted like the game was some sort of foreign concept, like you'd never played a fighter before. You actually quit hitting buttons at one point and just started saying that you had to turn down the difficulty. And this was after you spent like, what, 30 minutes doing the tutorial? Maybe the game is challenging when you play it on hard. I mean, not only are you the king of making IRL tasks sound difficult when they're easy, but you're also the king of making easy games look difficult. You're the only person I ever seen rage quit a Kirby game because you thought it was too difficult. That's why when people talk about it, they refer to it as Kirby Souls.
Like I said, 6 to 8 hours. We'll see how long it takes us, but people are saying the story mode is good. The invasion mode, all right? I haven't seen a lot about it. People are talking about it and saying they're enjoying it, but I'm not seeing much about what it exactly is. I guess it's a series of challenge matches with criteria and stuff like that. Here's the thing. In order to actually unlock all the content of Mortal Kombat 1, you have to finish the story, because apparently that unlocks a playable character, and you have to actually play invasion mode, not endlessly, but you have to play some of it. Excuse me. And once you do, you unlock the cameo fighters. So apparently, yeah, that's the situation, is you have to basically play through these modes in order to unlock all the content of the game regardless. So even if I said, I want to go right to multiplayer, I wouldn't have all the stuff unlocked. I would have to do these modes anyway, okay? So it makes sense to play through these modes first, okay?
You know, this might be personal preference, but I like when they hide unlockables and whatnot behind story modes and alternative game modes so you have to play them. I liked when games had unlockables in the game. I thought that was always cool. I think it's shitty now that you have to basically just buy everything with real life money. And then you know when you play them online, if they have these characters and unlockables, you're like, oh shit, they really beat the game. They really did all the things, huh? Wow.
Now, of course, the game also has a tutorial mode. And I understand the basics of Mortal Kombat, but every Mortal Kombat, they change gameplay mechanics. So I don't know how many new gameplay mechanics have been added into this game or not. I probably should do the tutorial mode. It would be pretty dumb if I don't, because then I feel like I'm going to be not understanding half the gameplay mechanics when I try to play the game. So I probably have to do it. Now, I've heard it's a very in-depth tutorial mode.
I hate tutorial mode DSP because he just turns into text-to-speech. He does not appear to be able to read in his head, so he reads everything out loud. So you get a grown man going, oh, they need me to jump, huh? Okay. Jump, jump, jump. It was the same way when he did the tutorials for Street Fighter, and it was the same thing this time in MK1. Except in the MK1 tutorial, he actually got stuck because he couldn't do a combo breaker. So at least we got that, I guess.
So, we'll see how it goes. But I definitely want to try to learn the new game mechanics and things before we get started with the story. So that's probably what we're doing today, is we'll go to tutorial mode. If the easy stuff, I'll try to blow through it real fast. I understand basics of combos. I understand the basics of juggles. I understand, that. But I need to know, what are the new moves? Like in Mortal Kombat 11, there was wake-up moves. I think they removed those now. But now they have something new. Like, I need to know that. What's the new thing? And also, I don't really understand how cameos are implemented. That's really the thing I need to learn the most. Like, how are the cameos implemented the most? So I need to learn this, okay? So that's why I need to do the tutorial, or else I'm not going to understand these mechanics.
What do you mean, how are the cameos implemented the most? They're cameo moves. You mix it into your actual combos, and then they combo some more. What kind of a question is this? Was this some sort of big brain question? Because sometimes when DSP talks and he asks really simple things that I think are self-explanatory, I'm always worried that maybe I misunderstood the question or something. That might just be a me thing, but it seemed pretty straightforward. You just implement the cameo moves into your combos and whatnot. That seemed how it goes.
So that's the goal of today, is do the tutorial and start the story mode. I'm playing MK1 all day long today. So even if the tutorial takes a while, we'll still get to the story mode and everything. Don't worry, there'll be good content on today's Mortal Kombat 1 streams, okay?
There was, in fact, not good content on the Mortal Kombat 1 stream. I know, it was a real shocker. And that may be due to the fact that, and I might be jumping the gun here, but I wanted to mention it, he paused during the fucking cutscenes. That was grinding my gears the whole stream. Every single time after a fight, there would be a cutscene. Obviously, it's the story mode. And he would pause to read a donation. Why don't you just wait till the cutscene's over and then pause before the fight starts? Why would you pause in the middle of storyline dialogue? That's just a brain dead move. Also, he was bitching about the discrepancy on how long people were saying it takes to beat the game. Well, let me tell you, if they were also pausing during the cutscenes to read super chats and donations, I could see where that extra 2 hours came from. But I doubt they were doing that because they're probably better streamers.
So if you gotta be a little patient, please do. But I think that we're gonna get to good stuff today, regardless. I'm playing it all day. All right. Now, here's the thing. Okay. Basically, from everything I'm seeing on the internet, I hate to say it, because this is disappointing to me. I feel like what they've done with Mortal Kombat 1, which is the stupidest name, they're basically catering to their 2000s era audience.
I'm a big enjoyer of 2000s era Mortal Kombat personally. Those are the ones I grew up playing. Those are the ones I had the most fun playing. The last MK I thought was actually any good was MK9. 10 and 11 were okay, but definitely MK9 was peak. But the PS2 era Mortal Kombats were classics.
What does that mean? Do you guys know the history of Mortal Kombat? I'll give you a little bit of a summary.
Gotta love a grandpa history segment.
In the 1990s, fighting games were becoming incredibly popular in arcades. Street Fighter II had revolutionized the genre, and now every single company wanted to jump on the bandwagon and be a competitor in this marketplace. So when Mortal Kombat came out, it focused on gore. Okay, it wanted to have as much gore as possible. That was a risque game, right? That's why it was popular. It wasn't popular for the gameplay mechanics. In fact, I would even argue Mortal Kombat wasn't a sound competitive game until Mortal Kombat 3. 1 and 2 were not balanced games. Mortal Kombat 2, there's 2 characters, Jax and Melina. No, really, that's it. That's the whole game. No one else actually is good in the game. They all suck.
I mean, just because everyone else sucked doesn't mean that other characters weren't in the game. That's like saying like a Call of Duty only has 4 guns because only 4 guns are worth using. That doesn't mean there's not other guns in the game. In fact, a lot of people are going to wind up using those other guns just to grind them out or experience how they play. It's part of playing a game. Not everything is going to or needs to be balanced. I don't think that's how games should work.
Jax and Melina are dominant, and there's really no other competition. Okay? So, that's the deal, is basically without having a level of competitive edge, Mortal Kombat was always known for being the gory game. Did it have tournaments? It did, but it was never as prominent as Street Fighter.
And this is where I think he's starting to go off the rails. He's so goddamn invested in competitive play in tournaments, he can't just let games be fun. And we'll see that some more here in a second.
Okay? When Mortal Kombat 4 came out in arcades, it flopped. Mortal Kombat 4 was the first one that had 3D graphics. The game was buggy as shit. Even after multiple revisions, it did not do well compared to the first 3 games. So after that, Midway, it didn't used to be NetherRealm, they used to just be Midway, decided that they just wanted to make Mortal Kombat home games from then on. They would only be exclusively on consoles, no more arcade versions of the games. When they did that, this was the era of the 2000s Mortal Kombat. So you're talking about Deception and Deadly Alliance, Armageddon, all those games.
Classics.
They did incredibly well on console, but they completely lost their way as competitive games. They weren't balanced. They weren't meant to be. They were essentially meant to be gory party games. You get it, you play it with your friends. There's like 40, 50 characters in the game. Each character has insane gore, brutalities, fatalities, babalities, you know what I mean? Like just over the top stuff.
And this was a golden era for Mortal Kombat we'll probably never see again. They packed so much content into those games. There was so much fun to be had. And all those goofy modes they made and all them characters. I have a bunch of fun memories of playing like Puzzle Combat or that stupid kart racer thing they had. They weren't in depth or anything, but they were fun little breaks from actually playing the game. You could make your own broken fighters, was super fun to do. There was like 100 characters to play, so you never ran out of variety. Yes, not all of them were good. A lot of them were very bad, but you could spend so much time in varying ways in that game because they were all kind of different. And over everything else, the point was the game was fun. I played the PS2 era Mortal Kombats with like everybody under the sun. My own parents played with me, my siblings played with me, my cousins, friends from school came over and played. It was just fun. And that's the point of games. Maybe he missed that aspect because he's too into competitive Street Fighter and everything has to be ultra competitive to him. Also because he had no friends to play with. But to me, those are the only fighting games that have ever really been about having fun. Because I mean, like, there's super combos that literally would 100% your health. I believe Meat has that in whatever game Meat is in, Armageddon, I believe. And although that's not good for a competitive scene, it was a fun thing to do to your friend from school to make him upset. Back when games were fun, man.
But that's what they were known for, to be prominent. It was basically fan service for people who liked the gore, but it wasn't meant to be something serious for competitive fighting games. They didn't even really hold tournaments or anything, all right?
I just went over all of the reasons why those games were great, and he just summed it down to it's about gore. Dude completely missed the point.
Now, what ended up happening was, when Street Fighter 4 came out in 2009, and it, again, reinvigorated the fighting game scene, everyone wanted to jump on that bandwagon, and what Midway, which now became NetherRealm, decided to do was to reboot the Mortal Kombat franchise and redevelop the games in a more serious way so that they could be considered competitive again. And that 1, which actually it was called Mortal Kombat. Are you aware of that? That Mortal Kombat 9 was not called Mortal Kombat 9 at release. It was just called Mortal Kombat because they were trying to do a hard reboot of the series.
I love him pig-splaining what the title to Mortal Kombat 9 is. Like, yeah, the reason MK9 got called MK9 and not just Mortal Kombat is because it needs a delineation from the original Mortal Kombat title so that people know you're not talking about the original arcade game. And although I thought it was stupid when Xbox called the Xbox One the Xbox One, because personally I was hoping for the Xbox 720, shout out my Xbox 720 lovers, but by putting the 1 on MK1, you've differentiated the title from the original Mortal Kombat, which is all you need to do. The same thing happened to Doom 2016. When you just call a game the original title, you're going to confuse a bunch of people. I don't care if it's a reboot. That's why it got called Doom 2016.
So Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 10 and Mortal Kombat 11 were redesigned to basically be more serious fighting games again. They wanted this game to be taken seriously by the competitive community and to become more prominent in those circles. And to some extent they did, but not for a long time. For whatever reason, while Street Fighter and Tekken usually had longevity, Mortal Kombat games, and even later the Injustice franchise, which is the other game franchise that NetherRealm was making, they would basically last in competitive circles for anywhere from like 6 to 12 months, and then basically people wouldn't really care about them anymore. They'd become side games or whatever. People wouldn't competitively take them that seriously.
See, he says this shit. Oh, they don't take them that seriously after 6 to 12 months, but like everybody knows who Sonic Fox is now. I don't keep up with fighting games myself, but I know who Sonic Fox is and I've seen him win in MKX. And just because it's not a main game at EVO or whatever doesn't mean that people aren't taking it seriously. It's okay to be a side game. There's only so many slots for main games. And I know he wants to suck off Street Fighter to the end of time, but we all know that Tekken is actually the best competitive fighting game. Fight me.
Mostly for balancing issues, but they tried. They really did try to redesign these games to make them feel like they were supposed to be competitive, okay? So, oh, by the way, we're done with the Phil's Day Off segment. Oops. I probably should have gotten rid of that. And so, basically, now, with Mortal Kombat 1, it feels like they're doing a second reboot, right? It is. It's literally a second timeline reboot. Well, if you haven't noticed, if you take a look at the cast of Mortal Kombat 1, half the cast are characters from the 2000s era Mortal Kombat.
So I just looked at a character roster list from the other day before the game came out, so maybe it's not 100% accurate, but it's a rough guesstimate. And this article was the first one that came up when I googled it, so that's what we're going with. They've got 21 main fighters listed here. Of the 21, I know that at least 15 of them have been in a game since MK9. 15 out of 21 is not half. Well, maybe he's talking about cameo fighters, you might be saying. Well, let's look at that. 12 listed cameo fighters. 8 of them have made an appearance since MK9. 8 out of 12. If we combine both of them together, we get 23 out of 33 characters have made an appearance since MK9. Not only is it not half, but it's not even an actual third. It might be nitpicky, but I just wanted to prove that he has no idea what he's talking about despite playing every Mortal Kombat at least since 9. I don't know if it's the Jin brain that's ruining his memory, or he's just that bad at math that he thinks 10 out of 33 is half.
You know, they're bringing back characters like Nitana, and characters I never even heard of. Like, who are they? Oh, they're from 2000s era Mortal Kombat. Oh, I don't even know who they are. And they've brought them back in a way to try to, I think, do fan service to the people of that era.
Why does it have to be about fan service? They invented these characters and then used them once or twice and haven't used them in a very long time. If you already have characters that people haven't seen in a long time and you're gonna reboot the series anyway, why wouldn't you use these characters? The concepts are already done, the designs are already done, the characters are already built. You have a rough framework of the character already from jump. Seems pretty self-explanatory and has nothing to do with fan service.
It kind of feels like the last trilogy, Mortal Kombat 9 through 11, was meant to be a tribute to those who played Mortal Kombat in the 90s.
How the fuck was MK9 through 11 a tribute to the people who played MK in the 90s? What about Cassie Cage taking selfies and blowing bubblegum is a tribute to the people that played in the 90s? When the sprites were in 2D and the game was an arcade and cell phones almost didn't even exist. And social media actually didn't exist, so the concept would have been completely foreign to begin with.
Well, now they're pushing this game in the direction of those who played it in the 2000s, so now it's fan service for them. You understand?
If you want to make a game that's fan service to the people who played Mortal Kombat in the 2000s, you wouldn't make a cameo fighter. Because I don't think a single one of the Mortal Kombat games from the 2000s was a cameo fighter. He thinks just because they're using characters from their franchise that they designed in the 2000s that it's instantly fan service, but that's just not how that works. If you really wanted to make a fan service MK for the people that played it in the 2000s, you'd make the stages three-dimensional. That's some 2000s era nostalgia right there.
But there's a problem with that. There's a big problem with that. I'm watching people play this game online. This game is completely broken. This game, if you take a look at it, is not balanced in any way, shape, or form. The game's been out for 1 day. Everyone has discovered 50% combos with every character.
Again, not every game has to be balanced. But if there's 50% combos for every single character, that's literally the definition of balanced. Every single character can do the same thing. What the hell is he talking about?
Raiden has a 100% touch of death. Now, the game does have combo breakers, meaning at any point you can break a combo, but you can only do it a limited amount of times. Isn't it like once per match or something like that, or once per round?
What's with the air quotes on combo breakers? Either it is a combo breaker or it isn't a combo breaker. What is the air quotes? If it's once per match, that's a little lacking, but once per round? How many fucking combo breakers do you need in a round? Rounds are what, a minute and a half, something like that? And they usually don't even go that long. So you're talking about needing more than one combo breaker in the span of 30 seconds, 45 seconds?
So yeah, you can break a combo, but still, the game is out 1 day, and people have already figured out these insane things that should be like end game strategies, and it's 1 day.
Yeah, DSP, it's almost like the competitive landscape has completely changed since when you were prominent. Or I should say relevant, not prominent. A bunch of high IQ individuals probably played the beta and figured shit out. The community of people who find this kind of tech is huge at this point. And with the internet, it's like they're all working together, because they're literally just building off one another back to back to back. So I'm not surprised at all. Competitive games move quick. For someone who's so obsessed with games being competitive, it's like you don't like how quick they move. Sorry, DSP, if you want to be good, you gotta learn fast.
Which leads me to believe that's going to be the whole game. It's going to be like you start playing fight. Oh, here comes one hit. Oh, guess what? You just lost. What? Now, I've told you guys about this in the past. I don't like games like that. King of Fighters 15 was exactly the same. Little hop, one hit, 90% combo, game over. What? Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Mix up, one hit. Oh, touch of death. Next person comes in, air break. You can't block in the air. Touch of death. Wait, what? That's not a fighting game. That's called a combo exhibition. It's different. It's not meant to be like... Street Fighter 6 has some broken stuff. That is absolutely true. I will absolutely say that. But in Street Fighter 6, you're not seeing the entire game end in a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, only in certain circumstances can you see people do these ginormous damage combos. It's just nuts to me that it just seems like this game has been designed to be a flashy game. This game has been designed the most flash, the biggest combos, the most ridiculous stuff, just for the sake of fan service. So it'll be a good game to watch. You understand?
I'm also not a big fan of fighting games where the combos get crazy large numbers and do huge amounts of damage. One of the reasons I never played Killer Instinct. But I don't sit here and complain about Killer Instinct's combos and damage when I never played the game. And right now, that's kind of what DSP's doing. I know he played the beta, but he played the beta for all of a couple hours before he just gave up on it. So he doesn't actually know shit. And yeah, I'm sure when you watch top level fucking competitors play a game, it probably does kind of look like that. Because they're top level competitors and it's day one. They're probably playing against some scrubs. And they've spent a lot of time doing the tech. But none of DSP's criticisms can be valid until he actually plays the goddamn game. But instead of doing that, like he always does, he'd rather sit here and then shit on the game before playing it and then wonder why support is low. Wonder why no one's showing up to the stream.
But if you're trying to play this game competitively, this game's going to be a nightmare. At any moment, if someone who's played this game for a little bit hits you once, they're going to hit you with like a 50 to 100% damage combo. And now you have to judge, is it worth it for me to use my combo breaker that you can only use like rarely to interrupt this combo? Or do I just take the damage? Can I even recover from the amount of damage I'm about to take?
Again, not my style of fighter. I'm not really even into cameo fighters, but that seems like an aspect to the gameplay that you would have to think about. Somebody enjoys that part.
It just seems stupid as shit. It does, like, it doesn't seem to me like this game has been designed to be competitive. It's designed to be a spectator game. It'll make you go, ooh, ah, look at that combo, or wow, look at that gory fatality. But it's not going to be like, wow, look at that high level of competition, you know?
So it'll be fun to watch, but it won't be competitive. It won't make you think, look at that high level of competition. If it only takes one mistake to change the tide of the battle, wouldn't that make competition higher? I mean, if you look at this from a sports perspective, right? Now, I don't watch soccer, but in soccer, the scores are very low. You know, you score like 1, 2, 3 points usually. People are neck and neck, and it takes one goal to make the difference, but they're running up the field neck and neck until somebody scores that goal, that 1 point that'll set them the difference, and people pop off for it. That's competition, isn't it? And isn't that kind of what he's saying with Mortal Kombat? Is it's going to be like neck and neck, and then someone's going to hit their move or drop their combo or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's a comeback scenario and they get ahead or whatever. Again, like earlier, unless I'm missing the point, what he's saying doesn't even make sense.
And so when I'm watching that, I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, and this is day one. So you can imagine in a few weeks what people will discover with half the cast. So how do you counter that? Because the thing is, any strategy in a fighting game isn't unstoppable. How are you going to stop that? Well, you're going to probably have to play the living shit out of the game to learn every nuance of every character. And by the way, the cast is pretty big in this game. To learn how to avoid those situations, when you should be combo breaking, how to implement your own cameos. Like, it just seems to me like, again, it's not a game that's accessible.
Holy shit, this dude actually wants that competitive end play to be accessible. He's upset because he wants to be good at the game and not put in the time. He actually, factually doesn't want to learn the game to be good at it. That's what he's upset about right now. Oh my god, dude. That's actually insane entitlement. Wow, wow. I totally forgot he said this part. I remembered the stuff he said about the 2000 era MK games, but Jesus Christ, I forgot about this.
That's probably the best way to say it. If you're someone who's going to sit here and you're going to absolutely focus on the game and play the shit out of it, okay, then it's going to be an okay game. But if you're someone who wants to more casually play it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a viable game whatsoever.
If you don't want to put the time in to learn a game competitively, you should not be competitively viable. If you want to play casually, you should not be worried about how well you do online. You should not be worried about your rank if you're playing this like once or twice a week. That's just my opinion on it. But again, to me, that makes the game more competitive. That doesn't make it less competitive. You're not going to be competitively viable at Smash if you don't put the time in. That does not lessen the competition. That only makes it harder.
If any moment someone hits you can take your entire life bar, that's not a game for someone who just wants to play and enjoy. That's just a game for tryhards. And that's what it seems like. Like, they've catered this game to make it so unbalanced for the sake of looking flashy that they're going to lose the fun factor. And that's sad. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, I already know, I've told you guys, I don't want to invest the amount of time that I've invested in Street Fighter 6 into this game. I already know for a fact that online connections are nowhere near as good as Street Fighter 6. The beta was terrible. And I can tell you this final version ain't going to be much better. All right? So...
I mean, you don't factually know that, but whatever, go off.
Why am I going to invest insane amounts of time, especially for a game when you know Mortal Kombat always falls off? Within a few months to a year, people aren't talking about it, people aren't playing it competitively, it's become an afterthought, a side tournament, a sideshow event, while games like Street Fighter and Tekken stay prominent.
Why does it matter to you what games are mainstays at fighting tournaments? You don't play competitively, you don't go to tournaments. So why do you care? Just have fun with the game. Play the game for your audience and shut the fuck up. You're not in the FGC, you don't care about them. So why are you always going on about fighting game tournament?
So why on earth would you want to invest the amount of time? I need to put so much time to avoid touch of death combos. Why is there touch of death combos in Mortal Kombat to begin with? And on day one, like they didn't try to make it balanced or fun, or even, like I said, they removed gameplay elements from the last couple games that seemed to make it more like Street Fighter, and now they're going back to their roots of it just being kind of a party game, which is fine if that's really where they want to go and they feel like their better audience is in that realm. That's fine, but understand something then. I'm gonna play the story. I'm gonna try Invasion. I'll do some online play, but I don't see myself seeping a ton of time into this game then, if that's the case. If every time I play online, it's going to be, you got hit once with a mix-up, you lose the whole round, then I don't want to play it anymore. It's just not fun. That's the equivalent of King of Fighters 15 to me. It's just, that's tired. That's an old formula for games before we got better than that. You know what I'm saying? That's an outdated gameplay formula, and it seems like they didn't try. I told you, even in the beta when I was playing, it's like, it doesn't feel like they tried here. It's very simple with the high-low mix-up that you can't block because of the lag playing online, and if they hit you, they're doing this giant combo. Like, this isn't fun.
Okay, then play the story and don't play online, DSP. Every game is better off without you playing it anyway.
This is boring. This is stupid. This is outdated. You know what I'm saying? So that's the deal. I'm thinking, like, I am still going to play a lot when it comes to this week. I want to play the whole story. I want to try Invasion, and I do want to try characters. I'll bring them in the lab, go online, try. But I can't commit to telling you guys, oh, I'm going to be playing this for 2-3 weeks, or I'm going to be playing it in sessions regularly. I don't even know. I don't even know until we get to that point if I'm going to like it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to force myself to keep playing it.
Dude, if you don't like the game, then don't play it. I don't know why you insist on telling people like, oh, I'm going to commit a bunch of time to this before you even actually play the fucking game. I know it's so that you can keep to your schedule or whatever, but you need to give up on doing that. It's honestly absurd how much time you spend playing games that you don't actually want to play just to stick to a schedule. And your streams are worse for it, for sure.
When I love Street Fighter 6, you understand? Like, Street Fighter 6 has problems, but it's a very good competitive game. That's the best Street Fighter game they put out in over 10 years. I'm very happy with Street Fighter 6. I want to continue that journey. I want to continue that climb. I want to get more characters to master. I want to try out the DLC characters. I want to play at master level. That is going to take a ton of time investment. And to say, oh, well, now I'm going to also try to put this into this game because they made it so ridiculously non-accessible. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But again, I don't want to shut down the game. Maybe when I actually start playing it, and I play it online, I'll like it. I don't know. But the beta literally turned me off. I played the beta for, what, 3 hours? I was bored. I was actually straight up bored with the game. I was like, wow, it feels like I'm playing a game from 15 years ago. Like, they didn't try anything improved or nothing. They just went right back to their old ways, and I didn't like it. So, I guess we'll see once I actually get into it, all right?
Then why did we spend all that time shitting on Mortal Kombat to begin with if you think that maybe you'll actually like it once you start to play it? Why didn't you just start actually fucking playing it?
So anyway, yeah, that's my story about Mortal Kombat 1. It's like, I'm excited to do it today and this weekend and put a lot of time into it this week. We're going to do all the offline content, and then we're going to eventually get to the online, but I'm not feeling too confident about it from everything I've seen online.
Of course, you gotta finish on a negative, and then wonder why support's low and views are low, because you basically hate the game before you even started playing it. So why would anyone want to watch you play it? But that's gonna do it for today's video. I really wanted to show how he'll talk negatively about a game before even playing it. He did the same thing with Starfield, and it bothered me then, so I definitely wanted to show it off the second time around. Of course, big ups to everyone who watched the video. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Make sure to check out other detractor channels and dive deeper into that Snortex.